And we're live. Ladies and gents, welcome to Kayfabe Corner. This is the chat edition. There's Cesaro, as you can see in the corner there. This is JPO, as we're going to discuss. Well, it's 9-1 of the draft here. We're pretty close to night two. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Well, all about that, really. I'm JPO, Jordan Pearson, joined by my brother from the same mother. Ladies and gentlemen, you know from Am I on the Air? It's Don Mega.
Don Mega in the house. What up, y'all? Let's talk about this crazy ass draft. I got lots to say.
We'll go over it all, my brother. So 2020 draft. Let me even start off with this. When you first hear that the draft's coming, are you excited as you used to be? Does it really hit you hard? Like, well, what do you think when you just hear draft in general?
It used to be one of the best nights of the year. I used to be so excited for the draft when it came around. Um, Anymore, not so much. It was still exciting. I think I watched SmackDown live for the first time in years just to be able to see what was going to go down. But unfortunately, it's a lot of disappointment. It's a lot of nonsense, especially some of the stuff that's happened recently. It's just like, we'll get into it more, but just people that were drafted to the same brand that they were already on, it was kind of stupid to actually label it that way, that they were drafted to SmackDown when they were already a SmackDown superstar. So it's like, it's a little upsetting, especially the lack of having NXT be involved with this. NXT was such a big part of that original draft several years back when Finn Balor was called up and
The
uh,
new original draft.
huh?
The new original draft.
Yeah, the
The
new original
original
draft.
draft.
But yeah, when Finn Balor was called up and Alexa Bliss and a lot of the other ones when they finally came up, that was a big moment. And I think NXT, they keep saying NXT is a third brand. NXT is another part of this. It's not the minor leagues anymore. You don't get called up anymore. It's just, they're all the same brand. So why are we separating it still? I think, they should have it to where at least 2 to 3 picks can be from NXT, just to kind of, even if they don't want to go full blown like the whole roster is eligible, they should have something to shake it up and bring some new faces to the home. So yeah, so just initial thoughts though, it's exciting, but it's not as exciting as it used to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, even one, even there's nothing new, no new faces on SmackDown that we saw this past Friday, which makes me feel good chance we'll see the same on Raw. Maybe they'll throw us a bone, but yeah, they're not including them still, which is kind of sucks. Like you said, even if they don't go full blown, one or two, I don't think would hurt. So the
Yeah.
draft format rules, by the way, This was also kind of weird this year. Was not everyone was eligible on both nights. It was certain people here, certain people Monday. So more than 60 superstars, including men, women, and tag teams. Picks for every SmackDown 2. Raw gets 3. Here's the fun one: teams, groups, and factions count as one pick, but teams can be split up for whatever reason. Oh, you threw me off with that screen thing. As you see, there's there you go. Yeah, there's the Friday draft pool, Monday draft pool. So that's kind of interesting to see here. So all the people we'll see potentially on Monday could be drafted.
A lot more names on Monday night, of course, because they got 3 hours to
Bigger
do it
show.
in.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's understandable.
Interesting to see Debacato on the roster for Monday. Arturo Rujas, names like that kind of
Arturo
popping
there.
up. He's on there as well. Interesting note: the Miz and Morrison are on Monday's list, which we found out that was not true. So we'll talk about that one. But yeah, they weren't supposed to be eligible until Monday night as well. But yeah, the whole picks thing, and this goes, I think, back to it also of spreading the draft out to 2 nights. Doing it on Friday and then leading into Monday. I don't like the 2 night format. It's and then we had some weird little supplemental thing on Talking Smack Saturday morning, which really went under the radar for a lot of people. And then the whole fact of, oh, if you don't get picked in the main draft or supplemental draft, then you're a free agent and you can do whatever you want. Like, what? Like it's just kind of all over the place. I just and then that's the whole thing is like, so the 2 night format's weird because then not everybody's eligible, and then you got to know, because I think a lot of people walked away from Friday being like, well, why wasn't the Intercontinental Champion drafted, and why wasn't Bailey drafted? Like there was a lot of champions that were left over that were not drafted, and it's because they weren't on or eligible for the Friday night part. So it's kind of stupid. That's another part that I'm not really digging either. It should just be a pool. I mean, it just like how they did it back in the day. It should just be a pool. All the names are in the hat, and we go. And then whatever we don't get through on Friday, if they want to do a 2 night thing for ratings purposes, then we just carry over to Raw Monday. I honestly, it should start with Raw since it's the biggest show, and then lead into SmackDown as the second night. Um, but yeah, so
I can see it though. I mean, obviously, I 100% agree with you. Where it just comes as a fan, I can see where WWE is coming from though, because unfortunately, I think they're really trying to push SmackDown on Fox. That's why
yeah.
that's night one instead of it being night two, and now it being a 2 night thing in general. Here, it is kind of odd though, because like you said, I mean, it's just it is kind of weird that only half why those half. Also, who's drafting anymore too? We don't have general managers. Who's even drafting these people? I want to know
Well,
that.
if we go back
The
to the draft
boardroom.
from last year, there was the war room of the executives from Fox and the executives from USA constantly on the phone and just, oh, they're negotiating and they're making their deals and da 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 da, which was just the stupidest shit. I'm glad that they did not
I
do
wanted
that
it
whole
back.
fake war room thing this
It was
year.
so
But
dumb though. I wanted it back. I hated it so much. I wanted it back. Or
Jesus.
Adam Pierce is just fighting with Adam Pierce because he's on both
Yeah,
shows.
exactly. Adam Pierce is the GM on both shows, so he's just kind of negotiating for himself. Why not?
Yeah, that the free agent thing makes no sense because I mean, it's not like they're big names, so they're just going to probably randomly end up on whatever show. I don't see it being a
Yeah.
storyline. So why
No.
not just say like you did with, and we'll get into it later with like Tucker. When I why don't you just say where they are? Why are we saying they're free agents? It's not going to go anywhere.
Well, I don't know. Shorty G was talking about how he's a free agent and he's excited for the future. So,
You should go to Raw where maybe he won't be called Shorty G anymore. Uh,
right, right.
so round one, or as I like to call the pointless round, uh, saw Drew, Asuka, and the Hurt Business, basically the entire group, stay on Raw, while SmackDown keeps Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins being the only uh, actual news piece here, because
Yeah,
literally
exactly.
as they were going, I was like, okay, that's the same. Okay, that's the
Exactly.
same. Okay, that's the same. Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, that's the same.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. They were like, we're gonna throw him a bone here and we'll do out of the first several
you
picks,
had to.
we'll actually have one transfer. Now the good thing is out of this is that Seth is a big one. And Seth has always been on Raw for
Hmm.
his entire tenure on the main roster, which is a long time now. So that's at least something to give me, right? We have somebody now who has never been on SmackDown before on the blue brand, and I was so excited to finally get him away from Ray and Dominic, and I was like, yes, something new, because we've been dealing with these guys feuding for so long, and just like Seth said, out with the old, in with the new. It's time
They
to
had
move
him cut a
on.
promo about it.
Oh, we're gonna get to that in a minute. But you know, but yeah, dude, I was genuinely pissed with this first round. I mean, on one hand, from a business perspective, it makes sense, right? Raw picks their champion, Drew McIntyre. Of course, he would be the first pick. And SmackDown picks Roman as the Universal Champ. Of course, it makes sense. They should be the first two picks. But I would have I would have liked to have seen them flip. I would have liked Drew has always been Raw as well too since he returned and came up from NXT. I would have liked to have seen him go over and just kind of flip them again. They could have just swapped the heavyweight titles like they did on the last go round. Asuka, of course, again the same thing. The Hurt Business, all four of them, the same thing. So yeah, so we only got Seth. That was the only
Flip
big
it, or at the
move.
very least, just make a statement that's like, "Hey, the free agents are all the non-champions." Like, if you're gonna do that, at least say from the get-go, like, the champions aren't even eligible." That, you know what I mean? Because it just seems like such a waste to just say, "Okay, hey, we're keeping our guy. We're keeping our guy. Thanks for coming." Yeah. So it just seems like a weird, like, all right, cool. It's the same thing. I'm glad I tuned in for basically not any news.
Right. Well, and well, that's where too where they mess up because why does Raw automatically get the first pick? Like that should be the same thing, like a flip of a coin,
A match,
some kind
something.
of random. They could do a little generator. Oh, SmackDown gets the first pick, and then they could steal a Drew McIntyre
Yeah.
at that point.
I wouldn't have hated the generator because they did that before. It
Yes.
wasn't just, and it was kind of random. That wouldn't have been too bad because then you could have some new names instead of it being the number one pick. It would
Yeah.
being random. I wouldn't have hated that.
Yeah. Yeah. At least the generator gave us just randomized, kind of
And
picks
it could
rather
explain
than
why maybe teams get separated. Maybe that could have been random because now those teams, and we'll get to that here pretty soon.
yes.
Why
Yes.
teams some were and
Well,
some weren't selected.
whole section on that here coming up. So congrats to the Hurt Business. Getting drafted all together in a very smart move by Raw,
I
who
was so
took four
afraid that they were
picks
gonna
instead of
like
one.
that was gonna be like they were gonna like take Shelton and put him on SmackDown. I was like, oh, please don't.
Yeah. Yeah. They all get drafted except for Cedric.
I do agree with you though too. And by the way, I do agree with you on Rollins. That actually is a decent switch. I don't mind. Like you said, he's been on Raw for like a decade, so let's do something new there. Going on now. Let's see. Raw or round number two rather. AJ, Naomi, Nia, and Shayna going to Raw. Sasha and Bianca going to SmackDown. AJ and Naomi are switches. AJ was with Raw not too long ago, but he's been with SmackDown for a little bit now. And then the
Barely.
Bianca kind of has been on Raw, so been lots of promos of Bianca recently. So hopefully they're going to actually do some stuff with Bianca now. So tag champs, women tag champs stay the same. Sasha makes sense. She's like just started her thing with Bailey. Although I kind of thought maybe Sasha or Bailey might get moved so you could separate them for a little while.
Yeah.
So what do you think about round two?
Better. The AJ thing kind of pisses me off because they honestly just moved him after Mania when they did the whole Intercontinental tournament. He was a Raw guy at that point, and they were just like, "Oh, AJ's in the tournament," and it was like, "What?" And then he became a permanent member of the roster, and now he's right back on Raw. So I feel like they ping ponged him a couple times. Sasha
he has been a big flipper. AJ has been a big flipper.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, big time. Sasha, obviously the same. I thought for a minute, since they had her and Bailey fight for the belt, I felt like maybe they were going to swap the title. Sasha was going to win the belt, and then they were going to switch shows, and then Sasha was going to go to Raw, and maybe Asuka was going to go to SmackDown. They were going to do that whole flip thing. But yeah, that didn't end up panning out. Naomi, cool. I mean, it will be interesting to see her on Raw. I mean, I feel like she's been SmackDown for majority of her career as well. She's only won the title on SmackDown, so that's something fresh for her, which would be good. Bianca, I'm happy to see the switch, even though same thing, she debuted the night after Mania and hasn't really done shit on Raw. So I'm glad because SmackDown needs women. They honestly do. Their women's roster is really whack, especially after they moved, a couple other girls in the last couple of weeks instead of waiting for the draft. They just moved them.
Yeah,
and then
I was
like,
oh,
here's the draft. So we'll talk about them. And then obviously Shayna and Nia, that makes sense to kind of keep them on Raw. So it's okay. This one's kind of a hit and miss, looking at it across the board, but I'm happy for Bianca. I think that's really good for her and possibly good for Naomi. So we will see.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think all this has potential at least, so I'm good with it. We popping up round three here.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. Round.
These thumbnails are small shit. I'm trying to do it this way. I'm like, which one is which? Round three.
All right, we got Ricochet sticking with Raw. Jey Uso sticking with SmackDown. Mandy Rose sticking with Raw. As you already kind of hinted, we had Rey and Dom chasing Rollins. They're not even really a tag team, though. I feel like
exactly.
Yeah.
So fathers and sons get drafted together as well.
Tag team / family members. Yeah, should have been the thing. And actually, I don't even know what happened here. So what's the deal with Miz and Morrison? I don't even know what's going on. I'm confused.
They're gone to Raw. I mean, there wasn't really much fanfare to this. they were drafted as a team. So
Well, yeah, but didn't you show
oh,
your
yeah, I was saying on the actual rule breakdown of who was eligible in the pool
um
on Friday and Monday, Miz and Morrison were listed as part of Monday's pool, but they
okay.
got drafted on SmackDown.
Okay.
So
That's why I thought. I was like, are they eligible again tomorrow? Like,
yeah,
why am I
exactly.
confused?
Maybe they'll go back.
So let's see here. I mean, Ricochet, I actually was kind of hoping he might get moved over, just because I feel like he's someone that's been lost in the shuffle, and we've seen him with the Hurt Business. I wanted to see him maybe do some other stuff. So I don't know about Ricochet. Plus, it would have just been simply something different here. Mandy was a given. As you just said, why did we have roster changes 2 weeks ago when you could have just saved it, Mandy? And speaking of tag teams, why wasn't Mandy and Dana a tag team here? And I believe Dana's going to end up on Raw anyway, so
Yeah,
it seems like a
yeah.
weird overlook there. Miz and Morrison, all right, that's fine. Give him some different to do. Morrison's going somewhere else. Ray and Dom, yeah, I was kind of cool with the Rollins thing being done. Like we even had Rollins talk about it, and we're probably gonna go right back to it. And Jay, I guess, makes sense. He's still doing his stuff with Roman. So, what's your opinion here on 3?
Yeah, disappointment again. There was two names I really wanted to flip, and it was Drew and Ricochet. And I didn't get Drew, and I was really hoping they were going to pull the trigger on Ricochet. I feel the same as you. Ricochet is one of my favorite guys on the roster, and I feel like he just gets no love on Raw. He's buried. He wrestles on main event more times than not. And switching to SmackDown could have been that second life for him over there on that roster. He could have really done some great things. So that was a big ball dropped for sure. Jay obviously makes sense. They'll leave him there. Mandy, what a waste to even put it on here. I mean, same thing. She's been on Raw for like 2 weeks, and they're like, "Oh, Mandy drafted to Raw." No shit, we already got that. Ray and Dominic. This I was just like, no, when this happened because I was like I said, when Seth was drafted, I was stoked. I was like, good, we're past this stuff. I don't want to see this feud anymore. I'm so over it. And here we go. And they're like all stoked backstage, like, yeah, we get to go follow Seth and we're gonna keep making his life hell. And I'm just like, no.
And we're not done because we're going to talk about the Disciple here soon.
Oh, yes, exactly. And then Miz and Morrison, we talked about tag teams getting split. This is one that should have been split in the draft.
Oh,
Honestly,
true.
like Morrison should have got moved to Raw, and then you could have left Miz. This was a perfect opportunity. Since Morrison came back, it was nice. It was nostalgic to reunite these two. Have that they got their little title run. It was cool. It was like he's back. We had our tag team. We revived the dirt sheet. It was all good.
Hey,
But
ho ho!
now, yeah,
Morrison got to go.
yeah, hey, ho ho. But this was an easy opportunity for them to split them without having to have beef or feud or anything crazy to separate them out. This would have just been an easy one to just move on with, and but they went together as a team, so I guess okay, cool. They could use another tag team on Raw for sure, so I guess we'll take it. So yeah, this is a little bit of a disappointment round right here, especially with Ricochet staying on Raw.
Yeah, definitely. I'll agree with you 100% on Ricochet here. And I'll actually, now that you said it too, yeah, I would have been fine with the split for Miz and Morrison as well here because I wanted more from Morrison from the get go. I was fine with the tag team, but I'm ready to get a little past it
Yeah,
now too.
yeah. I want Morrison to thrive on his own, man. I don't feel like
I
he's
wouldn't
really
mind the
had any
opposite
kind of
though.
moment since he's returned, and he needs it.
I wouldn't mind the opposite if Miz had come to Raw and keep Morrison on SmackDown too.
Whatever. I don't care which way it flops, just as long as they got separated.
Continuing on here for this is nice and big. The round we got to talk about here. New Day is no more. Kofi and Xavier, who I also didn't totally love this either, won the tag titles right back. Um, and I guess they're no longer SmackDown tag titles too. So let's see how we're gonna call that now. The WWE, the World. What are we gonna distinguish now, or we're just gonna call it the Raw tag titles now? Kofi and Xavier anyway on Raw. Biggie SmackDown. Dana's on Raw. Oh wow, really? Otis is on SmackDown. Oh, okay, really? And Angel's on Raw. Oh, wow, really? So the last three are just we've know already. Non-changes there, and then of course the big old
Actually,
why,
the
why, why.
four are non-changes because Big E's was already SmackDown as
Oh, true. I'm sorry. True. Absolutely. So the only news here is Kofi and Xavier are going to Raw here, and of course the big question is why? If you can have all four hurt businesses and you can do all sorts of things like that, why would you not want Big E? If you're a Raw producer in the War Room or whatever the hell it is, why would you go? You know what? I don't really see anything in Big E. Like it almost in a weird way makes Big E look bad. Like what did Raw just not care? It's simply probably because they have plans for Big E, which is cool. Maybe heel, maybe just a bigger babyface push. I don't know, but it just logically makes no sense. You know, this is where you could have had the generator or something, or just find a reason for this to make sense. No one gets it. We don't get it. It might, in the end, I'll at least argue. I don't know. At the same time, too, someone brought up a good point. Kofi was able to go out on his own within the group. So did you need to split them up too? Like unless you're gonna make Biggie heel, I don't know. At the very least, logic wise, this goes out the window here. And then the other four, whatever, it's the same thing. We saw Dana 2 weeks ago. That was pointless.
well.
Um,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So what
But
do you think about four
like,
here?
not only did Mandy come over to Raw for absolutely no reason, but she brought Dana with her because they're somehow best friends now in a tag team.
Have
But
we
so
even talked about has there been any real connection as to like what Otis is gonna do? Like how is he not more upset? Shouldn't Otis be like upset?
yeah, he should be. But
Uh,
yeah, I would again like to point out that on our draft pool here it says the New Day. The New Day. It
hmm.
doesn't list Kofi, Xavier, Big E. It says the New Day.
Well, they
Uh,
said the teams can be split, so
yes, yes, yes. But I
right.
just like to stress that again, who's the dumbass over at Raw that said, I only want Kofi and Woods, especially because they were drafted right after winning the tag team titles. So we did not know allegedly um, when they were drafted that they were going to win the belts, right? So Raw just said, I think we'll just take Kofi and Woods because yeah, that mix and that pair makes sense. Even though it was the first night back for Woods after being gone for like a year, but
Couple months too.
they get drafted solo-y. And like you said, it makes Big E look bad because why the fuck in any world would they not pick the group as a whole? It
You know what
doesn't
would be
make
funny?
it doesn't
Uh,
make any sense. I love the Woods being like, say E, say E, say E, say where's E? Say E.
It would be funny if on Monday we go to the war room finally, and just one guy looks at another guy. He's like, "What? You only drafted two of them? What the hell,
Yeah,
Jim?" And like they
yeah,
get out of here, you're fired. They actually address it. They won't, but it would be funny if they did.
yeah. It just so ridiculous, so ridiculous. They didn't need to do this. Like you said, we've seen this path before with Kofi and Xavier winning the tag belts. They have a storyline. They have something they can do together, and you can still keep Big E solo and running that whole thing. So there was absolutely zero reason to break them up. And then in the same round, you get Otis again. Oh, we only pick Otis. Poor Tucker. Once again, who gets left off to the side. We got a real quick moment backstage where Otis is kind of like, oh, what's going to happen? They didn't pick you, and they're like, oh, we'll wait and see what happens there. And it's like, well, obviously we're going to know what happens there because there's once again, I'm sorry, but I don't ever see any reason for any team to be drafted individually. There's just nothing that makes any sense. Because even if you don't like a member in a group, why would you just not want the extra body on the roster? I mean, at the end of the
Unless you were
day,
drafting the Forgotten Sons and you just don't want Jackson Riker.
I know they were missing
Yeah.
the free agents. So yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to be honest. Like, I mean, why would you ever split a team up? I mean, even if you do plan to push people individually, you would never just say I want one person instead of the actual unit. It doesn't make any sense. So You know, so again, breaking up heavy machinery. I know Otis is Mr. Money in the Bank. I know they have plans for him down the road, but there's still no reason to break it up. We have no damn tag teams. We have no teams, and they keep taking away these damn teams. So it's unfortunate. Like you said, why didn't Dana get drafted with Mandy? They're a
Yeah,
team.
save a spot.
Uh, you know, um, it's just a lot of loopholes. I mean, at the end of the day, they need to stop with the whole team thing, and they need to just say everybody's eligible. It doesn't matter. Remember, that's how they did it back in the day. Remember when Bubba and Devon got split up? It was just, oh crap, we got split up. Like that's the way it picked. That's the way it fell. It's not just like, oh, you get lucky and sometimes it's together and sometimes
Yeah.
it's not. It creates too many loopholes. It creates too many of these kind of conversations of just who's the idiot that would do something like that. So if you want to do stuff like that, you either do it to where it's all random, and if you want to keep a team together, they just happen to get picked randomly to the same brand, and oh, we got lucky this time. Oh, and if you want to split it, crap, that's the roll of the dice. The machine split us up. So, um, yeah, this is where it started to get really stupid. And I know when me and you started talking about it, we were just like, what the fuck? Like, just dumb.
Do you have pictures for the Talking Smack round?
I do. So,
Oh
that
wow.
was SmackDown. That was the first four
Yeah.
rounds that was available on SmackDown. And then on Talking Smack Saturday morning on the WWE Network, they actually did a supplemental round, which gave us a round 5. And we got Humberto
Oh, okay.
Carrillo staying on Raw, Murphy switching to SmackDown because, why not? We got to keep Seth, Dominic, Ray, and Murphy all together to continue that storyline. Drew Gulak makes the switch, which honestly is not a big deal either because he's been on Raw for the last several weeks
Yes.
doing the whole 24/7 thing. So they just kept it. Here we go again. Kalisto, not the Lucha House Party, but Kalisto was drafted by himself. And then Tucker, here's the answer to that big question. Of course, he went to Raw because why not? Because he wasn't drafted with Otis. So he's got to go to Raw where his career will now die because Tucker will not do anything on his own, and it's bad. I feel bad for my boy Tucky. Tucky.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, he's going the way of another guy I was going to bring up, Mojo Rawley, who has not been anywhere on these lists. We'll see Tucker a couple times get jobbed out, probably on main event a little bit, and yeah, I don't know, man. I like him. He's lost some weight. I think he's fun too to a degree, but yeah, I can't see him driving. I don't know. Best of luck. It's an odd one. I don't see at all why him and Otis could at least been like keep doing what they're doing. When he needs a partner, needs a friend, he's got a friend. Um, I mean, Umberto, that's fine, I guess. I think he could have had some fun on SmackDown if he wanted to, but that's fine. Keep him on Raw. Gulak, like you said, he's more or less been a Raw guy. He's been showing up every week, chasing that 24/7 title. They won't let him wrestle, I guess. So just let him chase R-Truth and the janitors out for a little bit longer. So that's whatever. I like Gulak, but just whatever. We had to complete the trifecta now. We had Ray and Dom follow Seth, so Buddy's got to follow too. I guess you got to continue that Aaliyah storyline as well. Is Aaliyah getting drafted? She's got to go to SmackDown.
Yeah, they should have just said the Mysterio family is the way they should.
Yeah, they should have had all four. Yeah, which is good for Ray, by the way, for getting paychecks for all four of his family members. That family's making some bank right now. And then the Kalisto thing, maybe I'll argue just because they seem like they've been splitting up anyway. Maybe Kalisto was like, put me on my own, and Lindsay and Metalik are together. So I don't
I mean,
know.
obviously, yes, that's the direction they're going. But once again, on the draft pool rules, they're listed as the Lucha House Party as a team. Still, they're not separated. So, again, why would you take one and not all three? So, Lucha House Party was drafted to SmackDown in the last year's draft. So, are they going back to Raw again, like where they're not going to do anything? So,
I hope not.
we'll see. Like
We'll
it just
continue their
doesn't make any
feud.
sense again.
Lucha House Party will continue the feud with the returning Lars Sullivan.
Who has been added to Monday's draft pool, by the
Yes.
way.
So
Just
we'll
in
find
case.
out where he lands. The return everyone needed. The undrafted people, as we mentioned, you mentioned it, Shorty G, Lucha House Party, Dorado, and Metalik. Mickey James is nowhere, as well as Walk with Elias. Man, none of those guys landed anywhere, so they're all free agents.
Yeah, yeah. So free agents. I know. I guess I saw Shorty G tweet out that he was a free agent. He was stoked. Yeah, and then yeah, Elias, of course, who's hurt, so it makes sense that they would kind of keep him as a free agent. So when he comes back, they can decide at that point who
You
they
can make
want
a
to do.
splash then instead of it being obvious. Yeah.
And then once again, you see on the draft pool it says heavy machinery, not Otis and Tucker. So I love they list all these teams out that got messed up. But yeah, Mickey James, poor Mickey James, who continues to just get overlooked this entire run, which is just unfortunate, making her a non-asset, just open.
That horrible ending to her title match.
Yeah, horrible. So yeah, so that's the Friday and Saturday draft pool, and then we got Mondays here where you can see a whole bunch more of the rest. Andrade, Bailey, Aleister Black, Alexa Bliss, Daniel Bryan, Carmella, King Corbin, Apollo Cruz, Nikki Cross, Bubba Cotto, Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode together as a team. Eric of the Viking Raiders, Lacey Evans, Charlotte Flair, Jeff Hardy, Billy Kay, Lana, Keith Lee, not Miz and Morrison because they were drafted on Friday. Riddick Moss, yeah, he's gonna be one of those free agents. Just wait.
Wait, Riddick Moss is a SmackDown person?
No, that's just the way the color they're doing because it's Raw and SmackDown.
Oh, sorry.
It's not. It's just an alphabetical. They're just. It's not. It has no flow.
I don't know why I didn't just notice that.
Natalia, Titus O'Neil. Good to see Titus still in there. Hold tight. Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, R-Truth, Retribution. We'll see if they get split up. Maybe only somebody would want T-Bar, and not the rest of the group. Matt Riddle, the Riot Squad, Peyton Royce, Arturo Rojas, Sheamus, Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro, the Street Profits, Braun Strowman, Tamina, Akira Tozawa, Zelina Vega, Bray Wyatt, maybe the Fiend. It will be a free agent. and Sami Zayn, of course, the Intercontinental Champion. So the one guarantee that you can take to the bank here is that the Street Profits will be going to SmackDown so we could flip these belts around. So you can take that one to the bank, I guarantee it, especially with Bianca getting drafted to SmackDown. You know they like to keep the couples together on the road. And
then probably Sammy sticking too because you got to have an IC match.
Yeah, because Bobby Lashley's staying on Raw, so they're not going to flip that one.
That would be funny though. You kind of said it as a joke, but how funny would it be if SmackDown took Bray, but Raw took the Fiend?
Yeah,
he just pops up on both. And also too, I also love the idea of Retribution getting split up, and T-Bar's like, say Slapjack's name, say Slapjack's name, say his name.
Yeah. So that's what I'm assuming with the whole Street Profits thing. What I'm going to be curious to see is what are they going to do with the belts? Are they going to just be like, let's just trade so we have our blue and red on the same thing?
Yeah.
And they just flip and just become Raw and SmackDown champions automatically by that. But yeah, I mean that's the kind of one that I assume. I feel like every year we have some kind of exact champions flip shows and take their belts with them. So that one for sure. We'll see where the rest goes. I kind of think Bailey should go to Raw if I had to take any guesses. But I think they want to.
I'm gonna say if Sasha win it, Hell in a Cell.
Well, Sasha's definitely winning the Hell in a Cell. I don't foresee Bailey keeping it past that.
I disagree.
Really? I don't see it at all. You're gonna get something like Hell in a Cell finally between these two. I was waiting for that announcement. They made it official. Yeah, Bailey's getting her ass kicked. Hell in a Cell. She ain't getting that.
End up winning after she gets her ass kicked.
And she won't be leaving with that title. Yeah, the rest of the crapshoot, dude. I mean, it'd be kind of fun to see Keith Lee switch already after only being on Raw for a couple months.
I mean, they've kind of to a degree dropping the ball on him, so yeah, I wouldn't fight it.
I could see that being something pretty cool. I think they should split up Peyton and Billy since they're not a team anymore. They should. That's their chance, to really officially split them up.
But they're friends, even though they turn on each other. But they got each other's backs, and yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's why we just need to separate this out. But yeah, the rest is a complete crapshoot. So we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll
who
see where
knows?
that goes.
I just want to know where Arturo Ruas ends.
Yes, I didn't know that people from Raw Underground were eligible.
Yeah, that's the third brand. That's the real third brand.
Yeah, not the NXT there behind you, since Jordan is live from the Community Wrestling Center,
We're just waiting to get drafted over here. Just
and I'm in the Thunderdome, so be a satellite.
Oh God, yeah. Well, speaking of Raw tomorrow, we got Owens versus Alistair in no DQ match. A dual brand battle royal to decide Asuka's next challenger. We're gonna hear from Ali of Retribution, and Seth Rollins gives his farewell.
His farewell speech.
And then SmackDown is the season premiere, even though it never goes off air, but it's the season premiere.
Every year.
Roman versus Braun for the Universal title. The New Day in their farewell match against Cesaro, Nakamura, and Sheamus. Yeah, that's what we got for SmackDown so far.
Yeah, that sounds
Big,
good.
Big E's gonna be like, who wouldn't draft me? What is wrong?
Yeah. What about E? What about E? Say E. Say E. Say his name. Say his name. The 9-time tag team champions over there.
I didn't love that either. I just feel bad for guys like Cesaro and Nakamura. Just nope,
Yeah.
they're done. They're gonna lose right away. If anything, I would have drafted them to Raw and just keep all New Day together.
Yeah. They could have, but they didn't. I would kind of like to see Alistair go to SmackDown too. I would like to see him switch it up. He's been wrong.
Like you said, it's a crapshoot. There's lots of potential here, man. I mean, Keith Lee would be interesting. Maybe Daniel Bryan changes scenery. Who knows, man? Maybe we'll have Akira and all the ninjas. What if Akira and the ninjas get split up?
The ninjas are going to be the free agents, so might get a couple on SmackDown, a couple on Raw. See where they land.
And Hosier's hoping too that let's just get a nice surprise. Let's have a call up. SmackDown takes the Undisputed Era. Come on.
I wish, but they just the fact that they haven't said that there's any chance of that, like, it just sucks. It just sucks so bad because I don't feel like there's any surprises here. It's not like here's the list and maybe something else. You'll have to tune in and see. Like,
that's what I'm hoping. Like, let them surprise us. Let them give us a bone. It's Raw. It's the last night. I don't know.
Why wouldn't SmackDown get any surprise then? I mean, then you got to deal with that whole fact that they just get effed over. They get no pick.
Smarter. Raw was smarter. They could have, but they just dropped the ball.
Yeah, nobody thought to call Hunter up. Be like, can I have Ember Moon back? I don't know why she's down there.
What's Finn doing? He's the champ? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Can we take Finn, Ember, and Breezango back, please?
That'd be nice if Breezango got a call up. Oh, wait, they're the champs too, aren't they? I didn't even think about that.
They are.
I forgot. Anything else we've got to discuss here in the chats?
No. I do like the Performance Center revised setup there behind you. When I first heard they were going back to the Performance Center, I went, no. And then they said, oh, they're fixing it up to be this new.
It's half Thunderdome, half old school. You got a little bit of crowd, a little bit of Thunderdome.
Yeah. I love the little bit of crowd. I love the fencing, that they mixed it up. But the wall is cooler looking than the Thunderdome setup of a fake crowd. I actually dig the wall, especially because they do it the right way, where with entrances it leaps over to the wall and kind of goes around the whole arena, which they only do here or there in the Thunderdome sometimes, depending on who's coming out. But I love the stage setup. I love that they're filming NXT there now, and 205 Live is also out of the same thing, so that's pretty cool.
Shout out to 205 Live, by the way, this past week, 200th episode.
Wow. And they got 2 matches to celebrate that, because that's how 205 Live runs these days.
You think for the 200 they could have gotten a third?
Well, I don't understand. I don't understand why this show had no problem doing an hour of entertainment every single week. and all of a sudden in the last couple months we get 2 matches like it's main event. Like they're like, here's a cruiserweight match, here's everything that happened on Raw, and then here's what happened at the end of SmackDown, and here's one more match. Like this has nothing to do with 205 Live, especially since the cruiserweight belt is looped in with NXT. If you were gonna show any kind of highlights, wouldn't it be NXT shit? I don't understand the Raw and SmackDown recap for a belt that represents NXT. So that doesn't really fly with me either. And they got plenty of people on the damn roster that I don't understand why they're only doing 2 matches these days.
They got time. They don't have to shoot it, directly like right before Raw or SmackDown. They got time. Shoot in the afternoon.
Yep.
Who's the new dude that interfered in the Strickland Phantasma match? I don't watch 205s. I don't know who that is. It's a dude who wears like sneakers and like he kind of acts like Swerve, or he's like cocky and.
Oh yeah, that's Ashanti the Adonis.
Is he any good? I don't know.
He was on NXT for a while as a jobber. He was Tahuti Miles. Remember Tahuti Miles?
Oh, okay, so that is that. Okay, I thought so.
It's Tahuti. They renamed him Ashanti the Adonis, so now he's all this like, oh, I'm so fly character. And I guess they're trying to give him a big push here because all of a sudden they're using him a lot more often. But he was one of those guys that I think Sheamus just kicked in the head and killed in like 3 seconds on his first match back.
Absolutely, yeah. That's why I thought, because even the gear still looks relatively the same, but
yeah.
I kind of thought, okay, maybe it was just a different dude.
I thought it was JTG. I thought he was back.
But JTG did just wrestle last night at GCW's spring break event, so he's still going.
I heard it was a pretty good match too.
It's the annual clusterfuck. It's a good match. It's always fun. You should watch it. I have it on Fight TV. I'll lend you my password.
I'm good. Thank you, though.
If it ain't WWE, he ain't watching.
Ain't that the damn truth?
Well, you do what you do with Impact and Ring of Honor. You just scroll through it. Give you 2 minutes. Oh, look, there's ATT. Oh, look, Alex Shelley. Oh, look, Ricky Morton.
Exactly.
You'll see Leo Rush. You'll see Jordan Miles, ACH.
Oh, good old ACH.
You'll see Orange Cassidy from AEW. LAX, Ortiz and Santana.
Where's the other LAX from TNA? I feel like there's way different people in TNA, wasn't there?
Well, it started with Homicide and Hernandez, and then later on it was Ortiz and Santana. Yeah. There's a few different people from LAX. Then you got Conan, Eddie Kingston, my girl Diamante. That's your LAX history for tonight.
There you go. But yes, good old draft 2020. We'll see how it wraps up Monday night.
Where will Mojo Rawley fall? You'll have to tune in to find out.
205 Live.
Wait, that's probably heavier than that.
They're like, we don't know where to put this dude.
You
we need more than 2 matches.
Just someone take Shorty G and change his name. That's all I have to ask for.
Yeah. Let's just get Chad Gable back. I'd appreciate it.
What's wrong with that? Shorty G is never going to be a world champion. Chad Gable has potential.
He deserves better. For sure.
Alrighty. Well, for T-Bar, this was Flapjack. Thank you for tuning in to Kayfabe Corner. DX Don Mega. Oh, wait, that's not DX anymore. I went old school on you. Don Mega, everybody. JPO Jordan Personas. Thank you as always. Like, subscribe, ding, notifications, link, hyperbole. And this was Kayfabe Corner. As always, keep it kayfabe.